This is a 3D printed mechanical iris. Each of the fins closes when you rotate the outer ring, and they're connected by these little arms, which allow each of these pieces to rotate in and out in a smooth motion. So it's a fun little contraption, but I thought it would be cool to try to build a box that had a top with a mechanical iris as the opening and closing mechanism. So this was a test, but obviously this is not really good because the opening is small and the overall size is big. So I want to figure out a way to shrink this down but keep the overall size of the opening large. So this is version number 2. This is a finished product. As you can see, it has these little arms which serve the same function as the outer arms here, except obviously they go they overlap the fins themselves a little bit, and I think it actually looks pretty cool. The opening is actually the same size for both of these. It's 3 inches for each. So I'm going to show you how I made it. I've never used Fusion 360 before, but I have used SketchUp for a long time, so I wanted to learn this new program because it's free to use. So there's a bit of a learning curve, but it wasn't too bad. Let me turn off a few things here to show how this works. There is an outer ring, which I'm calling it, which will rotate clockwise, and as it rotates, it will drag this arm along with it, which is hinged over here on this ring, and as that arm gets pulled out, it will pull out this triangular fin, which is hinged here near the opening. So as that gets opened, the fin will swing out into one of these cutouts. Now that the model is done and the design is complete, it's time to print everything out, which is about 20 hours of overall printing, so time to get started. Here are all the pieces of the box laid out before it starts being put together. There are 15 3D printed parts total, including this big bin, although this goes on at the end, it just gets glued into place, so it's not really part of the mechanism itself. So I'm just going to set that to the side and focus on the actual mechanical iris itself. Aside from the 3D printed parts, there are 10 metal dowels, which I've already embedded into these 2 rings. But these are going to actually act as the hinges, so I wanted to avoid using 3D printed hinges because they're going to take all of the force through the layer lines. So basically anytime you open and close this thing, you'd be at risk of snapping off one of these little nubs if they weren't metal. So that's already done. Step 2 is to actually assemble all the fins, which is what I'm calling these yellow and red pieces, and then the arms, which are the blue pieces. Okay, so that's how the mechanism works. Alright. So now we have these 2 rings left and this bin, which is still going to be to the side. But these 2 rings are used on the top to create a sandwich, which is going to hold this whole thing together, because if I tip this to the side, it's just going to fall apart. These are so I can get my fingers through the hole, but just to line up. It's a little easier said than done, but okay. So, there we go. Alright, that's pretty good. And last but not least, we have this outer ring, and you can't see quite yet, but these holes are actually oversized compared to the dowels. It gives it a little bit of flexibility, but the downside of that is I need to use glue. I'm gonna just use JB Weld. I'm not a glue expert, but I don't think super glue is going to be good for gluing metal to plastic. I'm not sure JB Weld is good either, but I think that it will do better. So I'm going to mix it up, glue this thing together, and then we'll almost be done. I think the easiest way to do this is to just apply dabs of this stuff to the top of the dowels, and then I'm going to just lower the ring onto the top and hope for the best. So I'm going to be a little smarter and do this where I can actually see it. Okay. So, well, I'm just going to look and try to see if there's any epoxy that's squeezed out, although I doubt it. I think I got it pretty clean. All right. So that seemed to work. I'm just going to leave it to dry. This is kind of why I tried to avoid using glue. I don't want to use glue if I can avoid it, but here we are. So let's hope this worked out. Alright, so it's the next morning and it looks like the glue has set. The outside red ring seems to have been connected pretty well, so that's good. So most of the work is done now. We just need to glue this ring into this bin. So I'm going to add some glue to these little ledges and then just set this on top. Instead of using JB Weld, I'm going to use super glue this time. It should set much quicker, and it just doesn't need as much grit, really, because it's, you know, they're two good glue surfaces. So anyway, I'm going to apply the glue, add this ring to the top, and then I'll be done. Alright, there's the glue applied, just a couple dabs on each of the little ledges. And now I just need to lower this in and make sure that the fins are aligned with the cutouts on the box. Alright. Alright, so I just need to let this sit for a few minutes, but it should be all done. I can open and close it. I'm going to apply some pressure so it doesn't mess with the glue, but I'm just making sure everything works and it looks good. Alright, so overall this came out better than I was expecting. As you can see, I printed a bunch more of these boxes, and they are fun to play with, so I'm gonna, I think, work on a way to add nameplates or ways to kind of spice these up. I want to actually give these as a gift to my niece and nephew. So yeah, anyway, enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.